As the French would say, allons-y. Wait, who, where, what?
It's just funny, like when you move your window to one side of your monitor and like, am I looking at TK? No.
Wait,
Am I
are
looking?
we actually
Yeah,
on the
now I'm
right
looking
side?
at TK.
But are we on the right side, or do we usually go?
This,
Am I not
yeah,
usually?
I think we need to shake things up from time to time. So I like
Okay,
this.
so maybe match the logo up here, right there. So TK.
Right.
No, wait,
Exactly.
TK, and yeah. Anyways,
And
you guys
yeah.
know
Me, you.
somewhere, and we'll do fusion dance one at a time, some other day.
Oh, wait, this way.
Wait, other way.
Other way. There you go.
Gogeta,
Hey, everybody.
Vegeta.
Welcome to another episode of Best of Our Week, where we always have the worst intros.
Never ever worked. Never natural. Never looked like it was ever even remotely orchestrated in any way.
Oh, yes, like you've got to work really hard and plan everything out to make it look this slapdash. Let me tell you.
Well, I mean, okay. So I'm gonna start saying the word. As a Capricorn, I like to say I'm methodical.
Oh no.
Oh my God, no. Let's not let that last
I
podcast
mean,
or show.
you just mentioned. Are you gonna explain to our viewers what it is that you're talking about here?
Why not? Why not? Why not go down the route? So earlier
Here we go
this
down
evening,
the rabbit hole.
down the rabbit hole to the 10th degree or the 10th house or something to that effect. About a few hours ago, Juan and I were in a Team Pixel holiday get-together gathering. Team Pixel loves to do these things, online and so on. So we had an opportunity.
These little like
to be part of it.
get-togethers and workshops. So.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's So as JC is holding it right there, let's go ahead and bring you front and center. Bam, bam, bam.
So
tarot card
yes,
set.
I am holding a Google branded
tarot card.
tarot card set, and they
that came. If we're gonna do this,
kit
that
with
came
a candle
in a
and
massive,
sage.
and then we have there is sage, and I did burn mine. Juan didn't his.
I did
but
not. I could not burn sage in my office. My wife was making so much fun of me. Like, you're gonna set off the fire alarm. You're gonna set off the fire alarm.
I I would not do that again. And we switch. Okay, let's go ahead and come back.
There we go.
So the event. Let me put the box down. The event was including basically a session of using your Pixel 6 Pro or your Pixel 6 and initiating basically an AR experience using Instagram
tarot card reading.
AR tarot card reading. So yes, Tech Loving Mama's in the chat. Hey, hope you're doing well. Ooh, purple, love it. I love it as well.
No, I gotta tell you, like they spared no expense. These tarot
no. These are
cards
very,
legit.
very, very much. Yeah,
I need playing cards made out of this stuff. It's hilarious, like how well they did this.
I think just as an experience of going through it. So they had a person hosting it, and we were sitting through it. It was a lot of fun. And
yeah, she was a trip. She was so much fun.
Absolutely, but it's fun just listening to her, like the mannerisms, the things. Like she's very direct. There's no filter turned on.
Lots of swearing. Lots of swearing.
Definitely not an Instagram filter turned on. But yeah, it was essentially a way for us to use our Pixel 6 Pros to be able to look and see further or other animation added to these cards. These are all AR-enabled cards to work with a filter on pixels. So long story long, it was a fun hour. We got a chance to hang out. There was a lot of predictions made on different horoscopes across the spectrum. And but it was interesting for me because it spoke to me directly. Like I don't usually do tarot cards and stuff like that.
She kind of nailed your whole vibe.
But she got
you
me
spoke
on
up
point.
for your sign, and you're like, but what about this business relationship? And she was like on it.
Because she's like, a couple of years ago or so, you tried to do something, it didn't work out, and it's going to come back, and now you're going to be able to do it. And it was like literally talking to me. A couple of years back, I tried leaving XDA, and I was out for about 6 months or so. And then XDA came back, and they asked me to come back, and I did actually go back and work with them, and it was a different approach to things. But now I'm actually out. I'm actually out. So it's kind of like the thing that should have happened a few years ago, that everybody, she said you weren't ready then, but you're ready now. And you guess what? I am ready now.
I saw in the look on your face too. It was like, oh, that's resonating.
Yeah, that's like, well, okay.
He's feeling that.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, how did you know? I was like, how?
See,
did
but
you know?
I'm too much of a headstrong Leo for her to say like there were going to be some challenges and there are going to be some things that I have to look out for and some of my workflow and stuff. And I was like, nah, I'm good.
I mean, hey, man, she was the net that she casted was for the most part very wide. It could have been anything.
Sure.
But for me, the thing that resonated is mostly because I am currently going through a major change. I'm starting major changes. I changed, my podcast has moved on its own channel. I'm changing the way I'm doing things on my channel on my own. I'm not pushing out as much videos. I'm kind of focusing on 2 videos on the English side, 1 video on the Arabic side, and then content on the podcast. So there's a lot of different moving items. So I think that's why it hit me. But it was fun. I think if anything else, I should not have burnt the sage in the office because my office now smells like sage. And I'm hoping the smell goes away by tomorrow or something. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do some kind of weird stuff. But yeah.
You'd have to do another purification to purify the purification that you did with the
Yeah,
sage.
but
Is that
hopefully
how it's
burning
gonna work?
something else. Yeah. Or maybe just keep a candle going and have it
Or
absorb the
maybe,
scent.
and just go with me here for just a second on this one. Maybe, just maybe, not burning anything. Maybe that's the way out.
It was in the moment, my friend. All I can say is, look, the lady was there. She said, burns the sage once, twice, 3 times, get the cards right and get them run. And initially it smelled nice, but after the smell just doesn't go. It just kept amplifying. So yeah, my office is actually technically smaller than the Gadget Lab. It's a little bit smaller than the Gadget Lab dimension-wise because yours is longer, I think. So yeah. Should not have done that, but it was a learning experience, so I'll chalk it off to that. But that was what we were doing. So this is not our first time hanging out on camera, our second time for the day. So
Today, yeah.
For
Although for a lot of the Google things, I don't actually jump in on camera just so that I can like walk around and like I don't feel like I'm tethered all day to my desk. Like I cratered bad today. I was trying to get a video shot. I was trying to get a script written. I got nothing accomplished today. But I did learn how to solve a 2x2 Rubik's Cube. So I spent my day very productively figuring out a 2x2 Rubik's Cube.
to execute. How long? No. But the question is, how long did that take you? It's not the I solved it, TK. It's how long. Was it most of the evening, afternoon?
No, not most of the evening. Like, because I only just recently, like a couple years ago, learned how to solve a traditional 3x3 speed cube.
Okay.
The algorithms are obviously very different, but it's still similar in like that right-hand twist algorithm that you do on the 3x3. So I would say it probably took me 20 minutes to get the feel for the very first time I solved this cube. And now I'm kind of roughly in that 2-minute zone just because I actually have a hard time starting it. Like the starter just to get one side. Just I don't understand. Like my brain slows me way down like just trying to get that one side. And once I get the one side, the rest of it's pretty quick. But I've already broken 2 minutes on that.
Absolutely. Well, man, you're way ahead of me. I ventured into the Rubik's Cube, but no, it was not my kind of jam. I got too frustrated and I peeled and repealed. It was not fun. I didn't want to take credit for it, but I'm glad that you're getting into that.
Oh,
it was
Tech
one of
Loving Mama. No, hey, don't. So she's like, if you ever get rid of the card set, hit me up. I'll buy it. I could not sell these to you. How about this? I'll put it out on camera right now. I think we're following each other on Twitter. Shoot me a DM, give me your address, and I will happily send you my deck of tarot cards because they're just gonna sit here. I'm not inclined to go back and revisit my Google tarot cards, but I'll ship them out to you and just let me know where a good address would be.
Yeah, and his are not sage scented. Mine are.
I'll send you the. I'll send you the whole box. So you'll have the sage and the candle and the cards. It's all coming to you.
And the instructions, and you just need to pull out the no, it was definitely like I said, it was definitely an interesting show, very nice, and like I said, it was just chill little.
It was fun. I mean, again,
yeah.
I'm not super into the woo, but at some point we were listening to these conversations of people really breaking down the structural elements of
they were like
calendars.
geeking out to the sorry.
And I had to text TK like away from the group chat like, is this what normal people hear when we start talking about like processor benchmarks Is this what we sound like to other people?
I think we got served. We got served right. Because I was like, so I thought I had a good understanding of what's going on in the show, right? So the first like 20, 30 minutes, she was going straight through all the different signs and so on and talking and whatever. And like by midpoint, at some point, we started getting some of the advanced tarot, aficionados. The best way to say that. I don't know what the term is. And they were talking about like moon, house, sun, different signs. I had no idea where they were coming
No
from
clue.
at that point. You like my eyes were like, okay. Yeah,
At one point, I thought one of the girls in the chat was making fun of her.
Yeah, no.
And then she started replying because it sounded like she was just making up terminology about like suns and houses and things. And then they started having an even more in-depth back and forth about like what her calendar looked like, and I was like, "Oh, this is the language that they speak.
This is a thing." And we were on the outside, and we're like, one way of making an entire Pixel team look like they have no idea what they're doing. That was it. But in reality, in all respect, obviously, it's more about what you're into, and obviously, if you're into tarot cards and you follow, I guess again, I don't even know the terms to even kind of justify saying it. So, if you're a fan of tarot card reading and you follow and you understand the different categories and the houses and all the different things, It makes perfect sense.
It did not make perfect sense to us.
No, it makes perfect sense to them, but it was just like it felt like maybe should have been a different subject. I don't know, but either way, I think for the most part, it was just a nice little gathering to see some of the other Team Pixel kind of getting together. It was definitely a smaller group, but it was nice. But speaking of pixels, since we're in the conversation of pixels, tonight's subject of how can I say, the sujet de notre show tonight is the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro, specifically the December update, which is becoming
the December update.
It's becoming a subject. Believe it or not, it's
in the land of tech. If you say the December update,
people know.
Nerds know what you're talking about.
Well, it's because for some reason it seems like the rollout has no rhyme or reason, really. If you think about it,
Agreed.
The UK got it. Canada got it, but what's up with the US? Like, when do we get on the boat? Like, I would have assumed Google always starts in the US and ventures out, but it's like the opposite direction. So quite a few people are voicing their opinion and so on. And again, don't get me wrong, it's not a complaint. It's more of understanding at least the approach to your rollout. I would understand it if it was basically East Coast to West Coast, something to that effect. I would have imagined Google starting in their home base, California, then going across. But no, it seems like every other region has received the update. Even Australia and the Middle East has received their updates because there's different variants of it.
I've got a hypothesis, and this is a completely unlearned hypothesis with no insight from anyone who works at Google. But my feel is I think this is something we're going to have to increasingly get used to in the United States because of the various carrier breakdown and all of the differing support. And knowing that Google has gone with Samsung's modem on the Pixel, I would imagine that they're going to slow play updates to the United States where network connectivity might be impacted. And so they're probably being more conservative than they need to be. But I also feel like the first wave of United States updates that actually do get pushed as an OTA are going to be very critically observed to make sure nothing goes bork legit. Is it a more appropriate update for T-Mobile subscribers? Do Verizon customers, are they going to get wrecked by stuff like this? And that's the kind of stuff that I think they're being hyper precious about. That's my guess. So we'll have to see
it's quite
how it
possible
actually gets sent out.
So if you go to the Google website just to see the Pixel builds that are available, because Google released the builds, by the way, just for reference. For anybody that has a Pixel, there is a full build of Android 12L on there available. So the December update build is out. It's not an incremental update the way your Pixel will probably receive it if you were getting the normal update. It's a full, I forget, like 1.7, 1.8 gig. And you're able to download it, and you're able to actually sideload it to your phone. You need to be comfortable using ADB, setting up some drivers, downloading the right files, extra there. But the end of the conversation is that still, still is not here. And the reason why I'm mentioning it in today's conversation is Juan and I were talking earlier in the week. We're like, hey, did you get yours? And he's like, nope. Did you get yours? No. Surprisingly, though, the Pixel
Like
5a.
3 days ago, we were like, "Are you constantly refreshing? Because I'm constantly refreshing."
All day Monday, I was like, refresh. I'm like, check. I went through like I have some methodologies, right? I fired up my VPN. I logged into the UK servers, logged into Canada servers, went to Australia. I'm like jumping all over the place. No, Google is smarter than
Google
that.
knows where you are.
Absolutely.
They know what's up.
It's not Netflix. It's not like you're trying to trick Netflix there. So that didn't work. And then I'm like, okay, well, what if I just shut my phone down and then give it a few hours and then turn it back on? Will it then? So I tried everything short of doing the rain dance at that point. And it's just, there was no update. And then of course the same sentiment, Juan and I were obviously we were not the only two. It was not like So Juan's still waiting on it. It says he's up to date with November 5th.
Well, so after this, you said you were gonna sideload, and Greg in the chat also said that he sideloaded the update.
I did sideload.
I figured, between the two of us, I'd slow play just to see when a United States update was actually legit pushed out.
Yeah,
and that way you could be the guinea pig, and I'd see if you had any issues. Because right now, like I'm seriously considering throwing my SIM card back in the OnePlus 9 regardless.
9 Pro, yeah. What?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the 9 Pro, yeah. Because the 9 Pro, I got the update before they pulled the Android 12.
I think you and I updated at this exact same time because we have, well, with the exception of the different versions of 9 Pro that we have. My 9 Pro is having a major battery problem. Like I cannot have.
Oh, really?
On 11 I had amazing battery life, and right now by the end of the day, like on a 24-hour cycle, where I unplug the phone at about 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning. By the next morning at about 6 o'clock, when I'm usually, or 5 o'clock when I plug it in, I'm down to like 30%. And in the past, I used to be close to like 50 to 60. Not because I don't use it, it's just battery was really good and battery management was nice. And I don't have performance mode turned on, by the way. I keep it on balanced. So there's no real need for that. So it has, I think I think I want to wait till they push the update, the official update, once they fix these little things, and I'll side load that one as well. But yeah, no, I've been rocking the 9 Pro. I pushed out the video this morning with the OnePlus Buds Z2. And I was rocking that on the OnePlus 9 Pro because I want to enjoy the best possible experience. I love LHDC with the Buds Plus, and that for me has been kind of like the best experience.
Now that we finally have it.
Now that you had to get it, and then so long story long, I think it's not a bad idea. I think the 9 Pro is definitely really good. The Pixel 6 Pro, I probably will be resetting. I think. It's a weird, like there's a little bit of a slowdown, and it's not slowdown in the UI or anything like that, but like in the camera app, right? Okay, if I shoot a video, and it's not even a really like a long video, so I'll show you what I mean. So here, we're gonna hit the button. It's recording video, right? I'm in the camera right there. So let's see if I can do this on camera and not bork it like it's supposed to be. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit pause, and there's an ever so extra delay for when it shows up in my gallery. Like the actual video doesn't show up right away. And it seems like there's like a little bit of I don't know if it's like a mechanic or something. I don't know.
That doesn't sound too...
It's not super bad.
No. I mean, it doesn't sound too different than... Oh, okay. Because
it's slower than what it was before. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, there's almost always like a little processing moment.
Little bit.
Before
I ran a Geekbench... It's supposed to. It's supposed to do, yeah. When you're taking pictures, obviously it does that more. But on Geekbench, single score went up a little bit from like 1035 to 1046, and
that's almost
multi-core dropped. Well, yeah, but the multi-core dropped from 2923 to 2870, which is again nothing to call home about. The update, I guess, what I was trying to say is the approach is definitely more mystical, if any. But if you are wanting to get it without having to wait, there are ways. Google obviously is your friend,
There are
and you
ways.
don't have to unlock the bootloader. This is obviously all official software that you're going to be using. You're going to be using Google ADB files, platform tools directly for Android 12, and you just basically sideload the full official build that you download directly from Google. So we're not going to download things for anybody. It's more about understanding how to boot up into recovery, how to flash, how to sideload, how to do all of these things, and then not be scared because it isn't the normal way.
You
And the
can't be
data is not
timid.
wiped.
If you
Yeah.
show any hesitation,
If you
then
blink,
it
then
gets
the
ugly.
Pixel
It
sees it
goes
and they're
south
like,
fast.
all data
No.
goes. Yeah, yeah, no. But for me, I think it's mostly because I think I need to also do some house cleaning. I'm running out of space. I'm really low on space on that phone. 128 for me is not a good number.
It's not enough.
Well, I mean,
It's
because I
really
shoot
not.
if you shoot 4K 60 all the time, it just not gonna
Yeah.
happen. And I got this bug from this guy Juan Carlos. Every time I shoot video now, that's the only format that should be. I don't need to see 1080. I don't want to see 8. I want to see 4K and then 60 frames, and that's all I shoot.
It's
So
almost like having some kind of ability to expand storage on the device would be a nice perk. If only
all
there
I
were
ca-
some kind of way that you could put in like an extra chip, or like put a
can we get
some
this to
kind of
focus?
card.
No. Oh,
That's
come on.
hilarious that your Sony doesn't want to
Is
focus on your
focus
Sony.
on my Sony. Yeah,
That is
it's
really funny, especially for how good Sony autofocus is.
so
This
okay.
is
So here's the weird thing: if I hit record, autofocus is on
nails
point.
it.
Yeah, but
Yes.
because I'm not recording and it's sitting in idle mode for some reason.
This is the biggest problem I've got. So I'm using my Panasonic G9,
Yeah.
which is actually my bigger brother camera that I do most of my shooting with, and I've stopped using my G85 for live streaming just because the most recent Panasonic update really improved autofocus when not shooting video,
Which is what we're doing now.
which is
Autofocus.
hilarious.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So
I mean,
I want to replace it with another camera, but I need to know I need a camera that will maintain the highest accuracy of autofocus even when I'm not. So just in preview, I need that same level of autofocus. The G85, if I record video, it actually does a pretty good job of like tracking my eyes. It does that kind of face eye tracking thing. Fine, that's great. It completely shuts off autofocus when I'm just in preview, and it won't track anything. It won't track a subject. So that's useless to me.
it used to work though. Remember when I first got this camera? We were trying it. It was like crazy good. So now for me, the only way for me to fix this is for me to do this.
I saw your arm move.
Yeah, I mean, you
It's
know
like
what
a-
I'm doing.
It's
Right?
like a ventriloquist, but not.
No, I mean, seriously, it's the only way to do this.
That's hilarious.
I mean, yeah. So I have to basically, tether into it. Well, I mean, obviously, So essentially, what you guys hear, the magic is I'm actually connected via Bluetooth, via Wi-Fi, and that's how I usually do it when I'm in camera. But again, like to thumbnail it because it doesn't like to focus too much. Because once it sees a face, it jumps back to me because I have it on face tracking. But anyways, long story thing. Yeah, I wish memory was expandable. I'm still trying to find a way to try to pick up like a 256 model, but they're still either way overpriced on Swappa or delivery date is way later. I mean,
Yeah.
like crazy later.
So I mean, we're seeing that kind of all across the board. I don't think anyone's shocked by us breaking the news that component shortages are definitely impacting that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But also, this is one of those times to kind of bring up and just to reiterate, like when we lose those features, they have an impact, and this is one of those safety net features that people would be benefiting from right now if they
Oh, yeah.
had the ability to like, hey, I've got this 128 gig phone, I just need it to last another year. Oh, I can double the storage for $30. Okay, so now I can move all of my apps and games to the built-in storage, and I can move
even
all
if
my
it's
media to the
slower.
card.
Absolutely. Even if it is slower
Well,
than the internal storage, it's for storage.
And since the Note 4, we've had memory cards in phones fast enough to capture 4K video.
Yep.
So miss me with this. Oh, but it's not fast enough. Do it right and use it for media, and you won't care. But it's like if I'm putting a buffer of music on my phone because I'm finally subscribed to a music streaming service, I don't get good enough signal up in the hills to always have like CD quality audio streams. So there are still times I need to buffer music to my phone if I want to be able to count on it, especially when we're walking around and shooting camera samples. Like if I'm up in the hills, I can't stream. It's just not physically possible. So here on my 128 gig phone, here's a chunk of storage I've got to put towards that, a chunk of storage I've got to put towards my podcasts, a chunk of storage for all my games. When am I dumping footage? Because I'm not going to be able to make it through my shoot in
No,
in
and
one
that's what I'm
shot.
having to do. I have to actually offload all that content off of the phone, make sure it's backed up to my Google Drive so that at least I have a copy of it in case I need to access it. But at least the
Yeah.
originals I need to take off my phone. But I'm thinking if I'm going to go through that process anyways, might as well just go through a reset because I'm worried if it's something to do with the fact that it was just maybe I'm on low storage. Maybe that's my issue. Is the fact that it's low.
Yeah.
I think I like maybe 2 gigs left. And it's kind of weird.
Well, yeah, I
No,
think that
I
would
see.
be impacting performance a little bit. You don't
Yeah.
even have a swap space anymore. That's
Nah,
hilarious.
that is not part of how we do it here, man. Team Pixel, my friend. No, just kidding. Yeah, I think like man, my download folder is like 2 gigs. Images, videos is actually most of it is. It's like 35 gigs of videos. Guess what I do for a living? But
Yup.
apps, 66 gigs of for apps. Man, I need to. Whoa, 66 flipping gigs. I'm a popular guy. Instagram, it's a gig and
They
something.
add up.
Yeah, they do. But yeah, I
And,
do have a lot of
and
things.
we had that conversation, especially like when we had Josh on, we were talking about the Qualcomm announcement and mobile gaming, and we've been talking about this sort of off and on throughout the entire run of our podcast. Probably the biggest news story of the week. I can't think of anything more important for the world of Android and for mobility in general, but specifically for people who care about that kind of premium Android experience. The game Alien Isolation is now officially available on Android in the
I
Google
can't
Play
download it.
Store.
I don't have to.
It's
Can I
$15, but it's the full
game?
Alien Isolation game. No funky, mobile. It's not Alien Blackout. Because remember, Alien Blackout was basically Five Nights at Freddy's. It's like a mobile version, a mobile game in the world of Alien Isolation. So the install is over 20 gig.
The
It's a
fuck?
20 gig game
Hold on. I gotta look at the
to
intro at the
run
bottom.
on your phone. I'm totally gonna buy it again. I love that game so much. I want to be able to play it on a phone.
Wait, hold on. So
just to
they
say I
say that
can
it's
play it on a phone.
3.6 filed, but then that's the main game, and then is there like a
The
library?
main game.
that it-
So when you unpack everything and when you install everything and you download everything,
It's 20
it'll
gig.
take up around 20 gig of storage. It's hilarious.
Wow. Okay.
I need that on a phone so bad. And also just to like show it off. Like
It'll be
yeah,
on a
sure.
phone. It'll be the phone.
I can play
but
cool
it-
games on my phone too. What kind of games do you play on your phone? I've got Alien Isolation, and then
Oh, okay. Well, no, check that out. Actually, it has specifically a listed device of supported devices. 6 and the 6 Pro are part of it. The Moto
Yeah.
G100, the OnePlus 6T, 7, 8T, and 9, but not the 9 Pro. I'm assuming the 9 Pro as well. Samsung from the S10 on, Note from the Note 10 on. Xiaomi is also in there, the X3 from Poco, and the Poco Phone F1. Wow, that's actually pretty far back. Not even the F3, F1. But
Well,
yeah, I mean,
well, I thought that was kind of interesting, and especially with some of the different like graphics options, because again, it's a PC game. So if you
No,
want to
no,
get
I-
in there and kind of tune it down a little, you can get it to run on some surprisingly older hardware. But yeah,
I mean, from the preview though, the graphic looks pretty nice. I mean, I know these are cutscene images and stuff, but the control, the mechanics on that look actually pretty good. It actually may not be a bad idea. It's just maybe not on this one.
yeah,
I don't have
not so
storage
much on
for it.
that one.
Yeah, no, maybe I'll just put it on the Neo 2. I think that one I have a lot of storage on. I can keep that as a gaming option, which is actually very nice. I like it. Realme makes it designs for. good.
I have that Black Shark in tow again, but I think I might try it on the Poco on the
F3?
F3.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if it works on the F1,
I think it'll
it
run
should
well
be.
on an 870.
Oh, absolutely. I think 855 even. I don't think it's really. We're like you said. We said it last week, man. We're way
Yeah.
over hardware wise. We're way ahead of what we need realistically.
Yes, TK, but I need to play it at ultra settings.
Oh,
If I can play it on
okay.
ultra settings on my 2080 Ti, I can't step down in the visual fidelity just because I'm
So
playing
you
it on a
want the
phone.
2080 Ti inside of your phone and not be able to
Yeah,
cook your breakfast, and you are not going to be surprised if you're able to cook breakfast on top of that thing.
yeah.
You'll be able to scramble some
Oh,
eggs.
yeah. Literally the
Actually,
scrambled egg edition.
speaking of conversations a little bit with heat, there's been some articles posted talking about potentially issues with this the 8 Gen 1 and overheating, as what we talked about before with the architecture and
Yeah.
the way things are. And I'm not surprised. I honestly, this isn't it's not something being addressed by Qualcomm, and I think it's or even MediaTek. I
Well,
think it's they're
so
pushing it
I
down
think
to the
something
OEMs.
something you said exactly. So
Yep.
something that you said, especially after that Qualcomm summit, really struck a nerve with me, and I mentioned this on I forget where, what else, who else I was talking to. But I think from a Qualcomm engineering perspective, they have made an SoC with a certain performance envelope, and now they expect their manufacturing partners to sort of solve or to build around that performance envelope.
Hmm.
And I think we are starting to kind of butt heads a little bit between the OEMs actually doing all the assembly on these phones and Qualcomm putting out some of this more aspirational marketing literature about what these chipsets should be capable of. And again, like we said last week, there was such a stark difference between phones produced at the beginning of 2021 and
Hmm.
phones produced near the end of 2021, where the phones at the end of the year tend to not be as screamer fast in all of these wind sprints, but seem to be better behaved for more longevity. I keep pointing back to it because I'm just so consistently impressed with it. But the X70 Pro Plus does not win many of my benchmarks for having an 888 Plus. Instead, it does seem to handle more sustained performance more gracefully than
Hmm.
like my Xiaomi Mi 11i from the beginning of the year, which runs so hot, games that should play faster tank to like half the frame rate. So it's that kind of balance I think Qualcomm is expecting from their manufacturing partners, but at the same time, they're publishing data on these SoCs about the unicorn potential theoretical maximums of their SoCs. And I don't know that we can really achieve that on these new chips without some kind of active cooling and more, I mean, like, more active cooling than what we can get in like a Red Magic, those teeny tiny little Hornet fans. Like I'm talking like a laptop fan bolted to like
Like
a mobile
the
SoC.
laptop desk, that riser fan that's built in that has like multiple area,
Exactly.
multiple like 20
And
millimeter
some
fan.
good copper heat piping coming off through the
It's
chassis.
it absolutely. I think I felt like that was the approach. What Qualcomm stands on. We are providing the OEMs the requirements for them to be able to thermally manage the 8 Gen 1 tells me is yeah, we're making a Ferrari, we're making the best Lamborghini on the market. It's up to the manufacturer putting the casing around it to make it. And I think it to a certain point I understand, right? Their approach, what they're looking for is we want to keep moving forward. But I think you mentioned it, and not on our show. I think you mentioned it during your on the SGGQA where you're saying this could have been perfectly a year of let's not try to push the envelope, but more so maybe let's go back and fix what we did last year, kind of
Yeah.
conversation, improve the thermal
The
management, allow
iPhone
OEMs to kind
13
of.
is largely a refining year
Hmm.
for a lot
Yeah.
of the horsepower and performance. Yes, you can demonstrate in synthetic benchmarks a 10 to 15% CPU performance boost, but in real world applications, and especially once you start trying to break down like gaming
Hmm.
comparisons,
Yeah, yeah.
you
It
just
doesn't.
don't throttle as much as the iPhone 12. You're not really making up extra performance, especially in a game. You know, like when you start clocking 100 frames per second, you're not really making up extra performance when you see a 1 to 2% lift in your
Hmm.
frame rate. That's negligible. Again,
Exactly.
I'm not going to say like the human eye can't see high frame rate, but I'm going to say the human eye is going to have a difficult time discerning 110 frames versus 112, right?
No, not even close. Yeah. No,
that
actually
that's
between
that's silly. But if your phone can sustain 100 frames per second for a longer period of time because there was just some refinement and some better work done on the power management and the thermal processing, then you've improved the actual performance. And so what I'm hoping is that coming out of the end of 2021, manufacturers have looked at all of these issues. I mean, just look at how starkly different now power management is on the OnePlus 9 Pro. Instead of it being this behind the scenes, shadowy, kind of scummy, we're going to dump off all of your social media apps to low power cores, there's now just a big button in your battery settings that gives you lower performance or higher performance. And that's really the way it should be. So if we go into 2022 with having learned that lesson kind of the hard way this year, then I think we're all in for a better experience. It's just, why expect 15% more CPU power? Instead, look at the same CPU performance that we had this year and see if that can come with 10% power savings instead. And that's a good perk. That to me is an exciting, a
I think
more
that
mature.
would have been a
Yeah.
better that would have been the right move. And just to jump on real quick with Michael's comment real quick. Here, let's do this if we can do this right. So he's talking. Yeah, of course not now. Okay, so this is the ROG Phone 2, ROG Phone 5 gaming backup, not gaming backup, but this is like essentially a dock, a portable dock for it. It's not snake oil, Michael. It's actually pretty much the same as the Red Magic. Can actually. Also, I'll take that back. I think the Red Magic had a better configuration on there because it has a dual fan and the cooling was definitely much stronger there. Where with this one, it actually does help, but it doesn't do enough to be able to reduce the temperatures. The RG Phone 5 is built purposely to dissipate the heat better than most standard devices. The same way with the with the Red Magic, but they still suffered. The early generation, like the 6 and the RG Phone 5, didn't have as much. The second generation, the 5S and the 6S, definitely benefited from what they did with the first generation. But at the end, I think what we're talking about is take what we had with the 888 and then add to that, because this is a next gen, more powerful chipset and more powerful GPU as well as an ISP. So everything is going to be even more generating. Not saying necessarily generating heat, but definitely pushing more power.
I don't
more
have the exact numbers in front of me, but I got real nervous when I saw the ARM slide talking about ARM
yeah,
v9 and
during
Cortex
yeah, in
X2.
MediaTek, yeah, they showed that one in there.
So when they get all excited, like, hey, we're going to see as much as like a 15% improvement to processing power, and then you look at their graph and the power to performance shows like a 20% jump in power draw, and you're like, that cannot happen. That physically
You're
is
sucking more
not
power.
possible in a phone. Like we've already demonstrated on the A88, you literally cannot sustain the full draw of the GPU. I mean, the GPU in our phones right now, the A88, is approaching laptop power draw. So if you've got integrated graphics and on a pretty recent Intel build, like a Core i7, we're talking about 25 watt GPUs that we're getting up to 8 to 10 watt power draw in our phones. So, like, again, our scale is completely off if all we're looking at is the theoretical unicorn peak, because that's going to tank. Like, that's just going to nuke us so
and
fast.
it is the unicorn peak because the device doesn't actually run at that speed. Even if you
can't.
are, it can't stay at that. So when we say a maximum of 3.05 gigahertz, as opposed to the maximum of 3 gigahertz from between MediaTek and Qualcomm, the reality is this is the proverbial peak, and it is absolutely in a benchmark situation.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it really runs, and it can't sustain it. Like I said, my main thing is at this point, we haven't heard any company officially announce an 8 Gen 1 yet, right? Last year and the year before, we had devices already being announced, or even maybe really already launched and available in China in specific markets. But my thing about it at this point is, I want to see what OnePlus does with their device, obviously with the 10 and the 10 Pro. I want to see how the Find X also kind of does the approach there. I
Yeah.
don't know if you got a chance to did you catch the Innovation Day announcements from Oppo
Not
earlier?
really. I mean, I kind of skimmed them, but I didn't really dig in too deep. I didn't see
I
anything
yeah,
crazy.
it was timed obviously for China. It wasn't timed for us. It was late in the evening on Tuesday or Monday night, so I couldn't watch it live, but I caught it up next morning. They're pushing some interesting innovation in the NPU configuration there to try to provide better processing
Yeah,
for their images, to support the ISP on, I'm assuming, the Qualcomm chipset, because that's
for
typically
sure.
what's in their Find
Well,
X
and
series.
if it's BBK, I mean, again, I cannot praise enough how good the photo coprocessor is on the Vivo. I mean,
Absolutely,
it
and, and
is.
and I think that's the biggest thing. I think they learned from Vivo, and now
Yeah,
they're bringing it in specifically with the next gen on the Find series, or the Find X series. So the Find X4 and the Find X4 Pro are definitely going to be powerhouses from Oppo's standpoint. It's still not running an Oppo SoC, which I was hoping for them to talk about, but that was definitely a
sure,
big proof. The other thing that they also showcased was obviously the Find N, which I want to talk to you a little bit about that because there's a lot of
sure.
videos coming up. But there was also the AR glasses that they pushed out, which are interesting.
Uh,
They reminded me of Glass. They remind me so much of Google Glass, the way they were done, because it was like the frame of a glass, right? And then you have this
and then like
attachment that kind of
one
magnetically,
asymmetrical
yeah, yeah,
large.
one little large
Yeah.
thing on the side. You don't want it, you take it off.
So
I was
who
hoping it
was it?
was.
I was I think I was lurking on Gadget Goddess's stream, and
Mhm.
they were just tearing into it so much for looking like the power meters from Ginsu Force.
Well,
You know,
yeah,
like, oh,
absolutely.
it's
Yeah,
over 9,000.
it's over 9,000. No, yeah. So I got that vibe too. I feel like somebody at Oppo is a big Dragon Ball fan, which, by the way, is kudos to that, and thank you for taking
Sure.
inspiration from that manga. But it was like, I like it. I like the approach of what they're doing. I feel like it needs a little bit more refinement. It's a China only device right now,
Hmm.
which is also kind of similarly where the Find N was supposed to be, but it seems like it's actually
Sure.
making its rounds. Quite a few, I think Mr. Fisher had access to it.
Hmm.
I want to say GSM Arena and so on. They put out some phones and some videos, but leave it to Oppo to make a foldable that actually matches what the Duo is trying to do, which is the actual
Yeah.
landscape experience of Android, the right
Hmm.
way. Like when I saw that, I was like, Oppo was like, yeah, you tried it multiple times, Samsung. Let me show you how it's supposed to be done. You take this, you take that, you make an Android tablet in an actual tablet format. It's smaller, it's
Yeah.
definitely heavier from what it sounds like, at least, than the Fold 3.
Both three.
But the format is the right format. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be that, and it actually has a better. It seems like it has a little bit of better approach to the folding display in the middle, where it doesn't
Well,
actually bend it as
yeah.
much.
According to them, that they've because of offsetting. Again, the few things that I did kind of look into from the Oppo announcements, like because of the way that they've moved around some of the internals against like where Samsung was putting stuff on the Fold,
Hmm.
that they can now close in a specific way to help minimize crease and separation between the hinges and things like that. So it's all really interesting, but to me, it's just more. I like the idea of it being kind of a smaller phone.
Hmm.
It's thicker, but it's a smaller phone, and then it expands into something that's kind of like a squarish, medium-sized tablet.
Yeah.
And that is precisely what I like about my Duo, is that it's kind of a kind of a blocky, squarish phone that then expands
Into
into
a
a multitasking,
an Android
a dual
tablet
screen
form
kind
factor.
of a
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, like I said, leave it to Oppo to kind of fix that. But I think for me, at least, I felt the excitement around that one specifically because of the approach that they did
Hmm.
there. So yeah, for sure. If are we actually gonna get our hands on it? Who knows? The reality of the matter is, it's a China only device right now, even as
No,
it
no,
is. Same
I
thing with.
really appreciated. I forget who it was. It was one of their chief operating officers or chief technical officers. I can't remember who. Someone
Mhm.
high up at Oppo, a big deal guy, was mentioning, like, he was very forthright about the fact that this is going to start China only because the app ecosystem for this style of tablet interface was woefully inadequate for it to be a global launch.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
they're
And
they're
Michael and
they're
Mr. Fisher did the same thing. Yeah, Michael did that exactly thing. Yeah, the aspect ratio, everything was just borked.
yeah.
It wasn't designed. Yeah, it wasn't really meant to. And I don't
I
think
mean, we
companies are
don't hear
gonna.
that as being any kind of deal breaker on a Fold, but of course, it's a I mean, it's a concern on any other type of folding phone or dual display or something like
I'm
that. I mean,
I'm
you need
hoping
to
with
be
them,
excited about a Fold, but
but not
we don't have the same concerns for a Fold. But on another phone, I do
phone.
want to point out that Android apps don't handle tablet interface. Fold is different. Fold, you should always just want it because
Fold
it's a
is unique,
Samsung. But
because the Samsung.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
couldn't
Well,
couldn't help
welcome back
myself.
to the what's happening with Samsung week here on the best of our week. And in this week,
No,
it's
but
the end of
this
the year.
is
No,
this is exactly what we've been talking about when we say like this is a Wild West type of idea.
yeah,
There is no consensus. I do not believe Samsung has created the best version of this. I think they've created one of the first versions of
yeah.
this.
Well,
And now we
yeah.
need to see how it can be better refined and to see if now getting a few more players in the space is going to spur on developer interest. Because
Hmm.
now, I mean, we've got so many pieces now. We've got Qualcomm and Razer working on
Yep, the
a
G3X,
gaming handset. We've got more
the demo.
tablet interest than we've ever seen over the last several years. Android 12L is going to help
Mhm.
expand this interface so that we've got more native Android code so that manufacturers don't have to fix
Build.
Android for all these problems, like all this custom augmentation of Android. And now we're starting to see more of these foldables and other devices that should be better multi-purposed computing devices. And
Mhm.
Alien Isolation is out. And that's a PC game that's going to take up 20 gigs of storage on your tablet or your folding phone. So if we're finally getting the pieces in place for developers to really start taking all of this more seriously, both from the productivity side and from the gaming side,
Mhm.
I would say by 2024, over the well, like 2023, over the next 2 years,
Mhm.
we should see this synergy actually start to represent a more mainstream consumer push.
We'll have, yeah. I mean, it needs more time. This is definitely the beginning. I'm more excited to see at least what we get with more optimizations. At least, I mean, okay, so we're starting to see more devices get Android 12. 12L just barely, if you're lucky to get it on the Pixel or whatever device that you're using. The biggest thing, though, I'm worried at this point is that enough time, or is that too long for people to lose interest in foldables in that manner? Because we're seeing a lot of companies following Samsung, right? Xiaomi comes in, they took Samsung's
Hmm.
approach. What's it called? Huawei started their approach with the
Yep.
outside fold, and then they converted over
I
to
very
Samsung's.
much believe that the Pixel foldable is going to be more like the Oppo, being
The
more
first
of
one or the
a
new one? The rollable, or are you talking
no, the
more
one that
like,
we
oh,
just
the smaller, yeah, the
the
find N,
find
yeah, yeah.
N, yeah.
I'm hoping, yeah, no, I'm hoping, and I'm also
So
wanting to see.
what
Sorry.
what I think is going to happen, and this is going to be one of those really interesting chicken or the egg kind of situations to watch, is there's never going to be any one perfect tipping point where developers and consumers are all on the same page and the hardware and the software and the apps and the people and the customers all agree this is the moment, right?
Yeah.
Something is going to go first, and then that's going to spark something else, and then someone else is going to get interested, and then that's going to piggyback on more competition. But I do believe over the next 2 years, we're going to see this kind of lobster potting.
Hmm.
It's not, are consumers going to be excited enough to get them? It's, are consumers going to be bored by the idea that it seems commonplace enough for them to trust it? Because right now, most average consumers aren't going to take a risk on their primary communications device. They don't take risks on that. So they need to see enough of these things out there in the ecosystem for it to be normal.
Yeah.
And when it's normal, then they'll consider throwing some extra cash at it. Already, the Oppo foldables, the rumored pricing for that is going to be lower than a
About
fold.
six. Yeah, it's if with translation, I think it's about like 600 less than the
Yeah,
fold.
wasn't it like a $1,300 foldable
Yeah,
somewhere in there, which is premium phone territory. Like it's right
still.
in line with what we expect as an expensive phone.
Hmm.
And again, over the next 2 years, I would imagine that the manufacturing costs are gonna fall in line with kind of bringing that into more reasonable territory. And that we might get something like a Galaxy A style foldable. I don't need the most horsepower, I just want extra screen real estate. Once we start seeing devices like that, then I think consumers will trust that this is a real thing and not just a fad. And
Yeah.
then because we're going to see more of them out in the wild, developers are going to say, hey, I really need to make sure my apps can do this like spanning thing and that they're formatting correctly. And then once all those apps get on board, then Apple's going to say, hey, we can finally invent foldable phones now.
I was about
And
to
then
actually. I wanted to like jump in and say, and where in that timeline does Apple invent the fold? Because I found,
I think
to my understanding,
2024. I mean, I genuinely think 2024 they'll start with a knockoff of the Flip because they won't want to jump immediately to.
well,
eating
Huawei
into
just
iPad
released
sales.
I saw somewhere where Huawei released the knockoff of the Flip also. Like seriously, it
Yeah.
was like some of those interesting things. Like I
But
said,
it's because of those Flip knockoffs that consumers are going to start seeing this as more normalized.
yeah,
And they'll be willing to look at like, do I want a candy bar or do I want something that maybe gives me more like tablet space? And I think it's over those 2 years that the premium end of the smartphone market actually starts, that they start representing foldables a bit more directly. But that's only if we can get 12L out there. We can accept that there are going to be significant teething pains
yeah,
on 12L.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Techies and geeks are terrible at acknowledging that all updates have bugs. It should just have worked, and don't turn customers into beta testers is the dumbest prevailing attitude we've experienced this year in 2021. Again, comparatively speaking, because I love watching people freak out. If it's Pixel fans freaking out about the December update, if it's Samsung fans critical of the numerous patches that have come out for the Galaxy S
Dude,
series,
as
if it's
oh,
Samsung
man, yeah.
fans fretting about the Z Fold 3 update just being pulled, if it's OnePlus fans who are now getting strangely racist about that damn Chinese ROM that's on their phone now, as if Oxygen OS was
was
built in
developed here.
South America or something.
Yeah.
If we can't accept that like every major operating system update has come with more and more significant challenges as it's rolled out to consumers, we're never going to get anywhere, and we're always going to act like this is some big shock and that I guess no one should ever buy a phone ever again.
It's a very interesting, like they can't companies can't do anything right because I think whatever you do, you're gonna piss off some part of the ecosystem.
Yeah. I stopped listening to the OnePlus fretting when so many people were complaining about things that are obvious features and not bugs. Oh, it doesn't close out all my apps when I'm in multitasking. And you're like, have you ever seen a Xiaomi? Because that's how they've worked for a couple of years now.
No. Still does. It does. It's
No. That's what I mean. Is like it's by
still a
design.
feature.
So if you're
Yeah.
in an app and something's running in the background and you want to clear out RAM for better performance,
you
it
do that.
preserves the app that's on your screen. People are complaining in the OnePlus forums that that's a bug. And you're like, no, the point is to free up system resources so that the main app that you're trying to work on in that moment
can run better. Exactly. If you don't want
uses
it,
the
then
full
go to recent and
capabilities of the
swipe it.
phone.
No,
exactly.
absolutely.
But no, TK, that's garbage now. And it's just so sad that OnePlus has betrayed all of their customers and that now instead of stock Android, it's a Chinese ROM. And if you just wanted a Chinese phone, you could just go buy a Chinese phone. But OnePlus was different. And now they've completely died and they're not worth it. And it's the worst ever.
You know what? Actually, on the Oculus, oh my God, El Jefe's doing it next level.
Damn.
Okay,
El Jefe's living in like 2025.
I guess
awesome.
El Jefe is in Meta, man. He's in Meta. He's in the metaverse. Oh, actually, we are in the Are we in the metaverse? No, wait.
Did we somehow
Oh my God, did we actually get converted into the metaverse without even knowing that we were? But you know,
I hate it when that happens.
Leave it to Jeff to to rock our socks
There I go,
off.
metaversing again, and I didn't
thought it
even
was-
know.
I thought it was cool when Dan from Grounded Tech posted a video one time or a picture while he was watching us on his TV in the living room. I thought we made it when we hit that level.
That was
But
pretty cool.
it would be nice though. Maybe we should talk about this, JC. You know, maybe we want to be able to set stuff up with a meta room or a conference where everybody can just watch us on Oculus and we can be all these avatar with just the top half of our body because the legs don't matter anymore. No, not
I mean,
happening.
you know, I'm gonna be all like cranky about Facebook stuff. So
I know
I don't. I
it's
don't.
a
I'll save that for my podcast where I can rail about the politics and how awful Facebook is. Because
and on that note, make sure to check out the SGGQA on Monday
right.
mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific
And
Standard Time,
then
where Juan gets on his
make sure
soapbox
you
and just
like and
kidding.
subscribe and smash that bell icon and hit the Patreon and
Absolutely.
follow me on
And
social
dude, that
media
hype
and check
train
out
on Monday,
somegadgetguy.com.
you
It
were
was
doing some
crazy.
great. Oh my God, was it crazy?
Holy
Like
cow.
Gary has never, like I've never seen.
Gary was on fire.
He was carrying that. I mean, like I walked in and I
I
was
was
like,
even like at the end, like, hey, Gary needs 3% to close out Hype Train. Can someone spend some bits?
before you finished that sentence, we crossed it. There was that delay before you saw,
It
because I
was
was like
so
watching
great.
the chat. I was like, what the hey, man? No, dude, this is absolutely, this is the love, the support of the community, everybody hanging out, obviously, just hanging out with us. And only Juan's, of course, because, that's the show that we're going to be doing
Yeah.
Faraday cage, but
My
not kidding.
Faraday cage butt.
Uh,
It's
yeah,
not
no,
even an exceptionally like full butt. It's like kind of just a normal 40-year-old dude butt, but it totally kills Bluetooth. And I don't know what it is about my
it's,
butt. It just,
it's physics, man. It's physics. Just
right?
all I need to do is light up the
Have
sage,
like a,
man. Light up the sage and read some tarot cards. Let's just
just
put that
like
down on the table,
cleanse.
man.
I've got to
Cleanse us some.
cleanse my derriere with some sage to get
My
that
wife was
wireless signal
jokingly
going.
saying is when she saw that I turned on the sage, she said, "Are you gonna just go ahead and bless the office or do some stuff with?" Like I said, no, I'm not turning on. I'm not turning that thing on again ever. While you were talking earlier, a whole bunch of stuff. I actually casually, my backyard was filled with leaves. So this afternoon, I spent it in my backyard breaking in the leaves because it was just so much leaves. Our tree just dumped everything in 1 week, and the
Yeah.
rain was just not helping it. But it's been an interesting week for sure. I did want to talk a little bit about the video that you put out this week also. So you put out a
Sure.
video on the Magic Eraser. So obviously it's one of those new features. How's it been? I mean, have you been? Like, I've tried. I use it every once in a while, and I also use the Samsung version of it. I find
Yeah.
Pixel is definitely much better, but sometimes it kind of does that whole artifact thing kind of going on.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
has
So
there been? Go ahead.
So here's my thing, because I'm the cranky old dude, and I
Yeah.
like people to understand how they can better make content. So I really enjoy Magic Eraser for what it is. It's a streamlined way to do a fairly advanced style of editing as easily as possible.
Yeah.
But when we let our pocket computers do all the thinking for us, those pocket computers are going to arrive at conclusions that we would not have made if we were more in control of this style of editing. And so the video that I put out was kind of in praise of the democratization of that kind of photography editing, but it was also to highlight like it's never going to be perfect. It's always going to be making assumptions based on the rest of the scene. It's always going to be trying to draw information from around your edit, and it's regularly going to come up with incorrect solutions. It's just that often, if it's something distracting in your photo, a little bit of digital garbage might be better than the thing that was distracting in your photo.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because it becomes
So,
more of the background and it gets in the yeah.
so obviously there are pros and cons to all of these, and what I found is like, if it's an edit on grass, I actually think Snapseed, the older algorithm that's built into Snapseed's healing tool, does a better job of kind of cutting and pasting and replacing grass. I don't know what it is about Magic Eraser, but it leaves like, it almost looks like an indentation. It
Yeah,
looks like
yeah.
a shadow of what you scooped out, and it doesn't blend as well as what the healing tool does in Snapseed. But if it's something that has like a gradient, or if it's like sky, the Samsung version I think actually does pretty well.
Yeah.
So if you're like at a horizon and you're removing something from the horizon, that's definitely better than Snapseed. So you kind of keep breaking it down. Like if you understand, you get a feel for what each of these individual tools does, you might have 4 different apps on your phone for this style of editing, but you can come up with these better conclusions. And I think the OG out of all of this is photo stacking with a median filter. This is old school HDR style processing, but if you can take like, so say you go to like an amusement park, and I wish I had done this, but like before quarantine, we went to Disneyland. And I got to get a photo of the Millennium Falcon, but of course, tourists are all swarming it. Someone has to like walk right up in front of it and just like sit and stare 'cause it's the Millennium
never.
Falcon.
It's like they see you taking a picture. Sorry.
And or they like turn and stare at you for taking a picture of them while they're standing right in front of the Millennium Falcon.
Or
Now,
if they're behind you and they're behind you, but they're looking at your camera at the same time as you are. But yeah,
exactly.
not
So
creepy at
if
all.
I had been smart, what I would have done is set up like a little pocket tripod and just taken a photo like every minute. And then what happens is what you can do is you can take those individual photos and you can move them into GIMP or into Photoshop or into some type of photo editing software. And you stack all those images on top of each other, and a median filter will look through and find differences. So if it sees like, hey, this is something that's in one photo, but it's not in another, let's cut that thing out and replace it with whatever was in the background.
That's the best
There
way.
is
Yeah.
an app on Android, Photomate R3, which works very much like Adobe Lightroom, and it has an HDR or median stack. And it's got a really good algorithm for lining up landmarks in your photo, so you don't need to put it on a tripod. If you're in a situation where it's like, hey, a couple cars are driving through, but I just want a really clean photo of this landscape, if you can think, let me take a photo, let me wait 20 seconds, let me take another photo, let me wait 20 seconds, let me take another photo, let me wait 20 seconds, it'll line up all those photos from your handheld shots, find the differences in each photo, as I'm freaking out my NVIDIA software right now by moving my hands
NVIDIA
around.
is like, what differences are you talking about, Juan? I don't see
And so then
differences.
Photomate will pull, like all that information, stack all those images together. You still might end up with like a little bit of garbage. Just like say a car was driving through and another car was driving through and a piece of one car overlaps with another car. Then Photomate will put in like garbage from that kind of layering of the two cars. Then you can go into Magic Eraser or Snapseed and do just a teeny little heel edit. Instead of having to get rid of a whole car, you just have to get rid of just a teeny little bit of noise from overlapping cars. So if you can get a feel for just some of that basic photography editing, and you don't have to cut anything out yourself. This isn't like stacking or doing layers or doing really advanced edits in Photoshop.
Or having
This
to
is
cut a piece from another picture that you
and
took
then clone tool it and
clone
then try and bring it up. This is still almost all auto. Like this is still all software doing the actual processing for you. But if you hit with two apps, like you do a stack of photos and a Magic Eraser, or a stack of photos and a Samsung cut and replace, it's amazing. I did a freeway shot, and I actually show it in that video. I did a freeway shot where I took 6 photos, and because of the way that cars line up at the horizon, there's a lot of like overlaps. You see these like pieces of cars that are still left over from the photo stack. Well, that's cake for Magic Eraser to get rid of. But if Magic Eraser had to get rid of 20 cars in this freeway shot, there's no way. It would have looked awful.
It looked like you just took an eraser and manually erased it out of the picture. And
I would have been wiping out like at least 20% of the photo would have been my finger wiping over Magic Eraser.
It would be fun. It would be funny though if at some point when we try to use the Magic Eraser, or the Magic Eraser gets smart enough, if you're taking pictures in like maybe known landmark or public landmarks where there is a massive database of pictures, that maybe it could pull from that, as opposed to just having to be blending.
We already do it with the moon.
I was gonna say the moon. Have you ever tried?
No,
the moon
I'm serious.
mode?
Like this moonshot zoom on Samsung is definitely AI enhanced.
Absolutely, which I think
is it. Vivo has a moon mode, and it looks hilarious. It looks like they just take a moon sticker and stick it over the bright spot in your photo,
and there's your moon. There's your moon.
There's a moon. So we're already starting to do some of that stuff, TK. We're eventually going to get to the point where no matter what photo you try to take, someone has literally already taken that photo, and all we're doing is pasting in their image for your photography.
It is a scary, scary algorithmic future where our photos are going to look absolutely fantastic due to the massive database of content. No, I mean, the reality is this. Look, you're right. It depends on what tool you're using, and the approach to it's going to be a little bit different. I I personally like the way it works. I mean, remember, this is years in the making. We heard about this feature 2 to 3 years ago from Google, and the way
Yeah.
they demonstrated it back then, I don't know if you remember, it was a picture of a fence where there was somebody or something or a kid behind the fence or some kind of weird thing, and then they erased it, and then the fence was basically magically recreated. And the way they showed it made it look like it was crazy magic because it looked like
Yeah.
it was a perfect picture, but in reality, obviously, it was more done for dramatic effect. I don't think that's how it works, and it still doesn't work. But yeah, I think Snapseed, I think of all the tools, I still feel like it's still one of my oldest ones that I like to use as actually a
Yeah.
good, well balanced video photo editor that you can download, and it's free and you're easily. And then I downloaded the Photomate that you just talked about. I want to check it out. I wasn't familiar with that one.
So Photomate is a premium app. I think it's a $10 buy on Google Play.
There's
but
two versions. Yeah, there's the free and then
yeah,
so
but if you want to do any of the batch processing or the image stacking, I don't think that's available in the free version. But so if
yeah.
you only ever edit like one raw photo at a time, Snapseed is amazing. Like don't bother looking anywhere else. Go Snapseed. It's free. It's a great editor for raw files, even for JPEGs. If you just need to touch up a JPEG and slap like some text or a sticker on it, it works really well too.
or
But
even
if you
just
want to
manual
do some of the
tuning,
more advanced
color grading.
batch processing or Lightroom style, if you also want some better filters for noise reduction, that's the big omission from Snapseed. So your raw file is probably going to be a little grainier. There isn't a good noise filter. Like, I don't want to kill the luma noise. I want to get after the chroma noise so that the colored sparkles aren't there anymore, but that like the kind of black and white grain preserves all of the image fidelity and structure data. That's something you can do in Photomate. But then on top of that, if you want to start playing with some of these other like methods of filter stacking, it's a really good algorithm for stitching together panoramas,
Yeah.
where it lines up elements of the panorama so that you can take a couple of individual photos. I know like our phones have gotten really good at just doing that scanning. You just kind of, turn your phone 180 degrees and you get a panorama shot. But if you want to do something a little bit more traditional structured panorama, then those algorithms are really good too. But again, it's still like, I feel like this is another conversation where kind of like Apple, they start talking about professional editing on your phone, that sparks an interest. It's not an Apple app that you're going to get, and it's not an Apple camera app that you're going to use to get all of this out of your iPhone. It draws more attention to this, and then those people who are interested are going to go off and find the real solutions to get that kind of work done. Magic Eraser helps kind of whet an appetite. I mean, I think it's really clever, and I think it's really exciting to see how it's starting to pre-select objects where other healing tools rely on your input alone.
Oh, yeah,
Magic Eraser
Samsung
tries
and,
to say,
yeah.
hey, this might be something you could get rid of. And it's surprising like how often it gets that kind of stuff right in your photos. And then from there, now you've been exposed to this concept. You can go and find some of these other more photographic solutions to do this effect even better than what an automated filter can do.
So Huawei did is, and I forgot which one. I want to say the Mate 40 or the P40. They had a mode in their camera where it does the photo stacking that you were talking about, the algorithm, the process that we have in Photomate in camera, and it did it really well. I remember I did it with Omar. We were we have paseos. We have areas here where we were able to walk off the street and stuff. So you'd be able to just take a walk with the family. So I set up my shot, and I knew Omar was he's walking in there, and there's some people behind him. I selected him and I took the picture, and it does the exact same thing. It takes a stack of pictures as the image was going on, and then it just literally figured out who does not need to be there other than the subject.
Right.
And it did it really well in camera, but I'm loving the fact that, Huawei's still trying to push those limits to give us those type of technologies in camera, but nobody talks about it. Nobody really kind of reviews that feature. I put that in mind
No,
because I was like,
the only thing worth talking about is you pulled it out of the box and then you just opened the camera and you just pushed the shutter button in
or
full
how does
auto.
it compare to the iPhone 13, and how does it compare to the Sam Apple?
And again,
conversation?
you can only use features that are on an iPhone.
Yeah.
So if it's a
Because
feature that's not on an iPhone, then it's not worth talking about. But
It's always-
snarkiness aside, because like Bionic Scoop has this looks longingly at the X70 in Lightroom. I gotta say, the X70 has a built-in 3 and 5 shot bracket, so
Ooh,
you can bracket the shots. Like one single shutter but push gets you like a 3
three to
bracket or a
four.
5 bracket series, and then you go and dump those in Photomate, and you've got an even better HDR than what most phones normally produce. Like it's so good seeing what like our phones can accomplish if you just give them the right tools to kind of produce that last consumer image.
I like that. No, I mean it's one of those things. Like I said, advanced cameras are there for a reason, and it's not all about auto mode and like just point and shoot. Which don't get me wrong, some devices do it quite well. Pixels do it great, but that's one of the reasons why you download the additional apps like the Snapseeds, the Photomate, the Lightroom, or whatever app that you like to use to edit your content in. I do have to say that I found that CapCut works so much better on Pixels than it does on
Yeah.
my Samsung. Like exporting, the GPU power shows its power right there. Like exports is like boom, like right there, it's done. I love just
It's one of those
like I
like
said,
it's sneaky faster than you think it would be.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it starts and woof, and I'm like, wait, like you beat the 888, like not even like the 888 wasn't even there. But like I've been putting out the advent calendar ones on Instagram every day because it's just geeky and I love the fact I want to see what everything kind of comes up every day. But I've gotten good to the point where I'm able to, I have a pretty much a method now that I know exactly how to edit it. And I did it tonight on my Pixel and it just like was right there. I was like, crazy good. Like that's what I'm doing,
Pretty
man.
hot.
Forget about it. I do want to say this a little bit as far as the update. So the Fold 3 does not have the latest update. As you know, Samsung pulled that out because,
Well,
I
and of
know I'm chafing.
course, the internet melted down, just like they did with OnePlus.
No, none of
Same
that happened,
thing.
my friend. You know, because
Exactly the same thing.
Samsung shall not do anything wrong, and you just, yeah,
And
it's
then
weird. It's like OnePlus does it, and everybody just freaks out. Samsung does it, and it was like, yeah,
I'm just
I'm
so
still,
sad because like there are definitely some things that need to be polished up on Color OS's version of Oxygen
oh,
OS for Android 12.
and yeah, and
No
OnePlus is
one
aware, yeah.
no one rationally would say like there aren't bugs to fix up. So many people on OnePlus, because of this self-identification with the look of their launcher, like my personal, you know, my life is defined by the look of the launcher on my phone, are missing out on some significant performance control improvements and camera improvements that take the OnePlus 9 to a whole other level.
There is
Like
so much
it's
more,
performing
yeah.
more like the Vivo, and it was already one of the best Android shooters of the year. And now you have more control over the performance of the phone and you can run it cooler if you want to. These were all the major problems we had with the OnePlus 9, and people are throwing these temper tantrums, missing the stuff that's actually going to benefit them, to complain about like, oh, but now my icons aren't as customizable. And you're like,
So
the
yeah,
forest and
ColorOS does
trees,
allow you to
man.
use
You've
yeah. So ColorOS,
completely
sorry, not
missed.
ColorOS. OnePlus will allow you to still use third-party custom icon, icon packs and so on. It's I actually got a chance to start playing some games on it because of the Z2s here, and I'm loving the game launcher that they brought over from ColorOS. It actually is more intuitive, easy to use. They obviously we no longer have the Fanatic moniker because they lost the licensing for that. I guess now it's just Pro mode. Screen recording, very simple interface, and it does exactly how it's supposed to be. And again, you have to understand that had this not been related to Oppo and had this been just OnePlus pushing out an update with new features, I don't think I mean, we would have still had some snarkiness going on. But I feel like people need to just understand, and we just need to get through this. So once OnePlus pushes out the update one more time, when they fix all of the different, I think they outlined what they wanted to do. I love the fact that also that they brought work-life balance into this version as where it was previously only in India. A lot of people didn't know that there was a feature in OnePlus devices that was restricted only to Indian devices because they felt like it was more appropriate. Now it's available internationally on all OnePlus. So it's the little things. You have to appreciate the new things coming in. But it needs a little bit of refinement. My Fold never got the official update. Luckily, I'm still running on the beta because the official update was borking devices, which would have been a much bigger problem for me. Because I don't know if the warranty covers me installing a beta and them borking it based on that.
Yeah.
It's one of those conversations, man. It's the end of 2021. There's no more new devices kind of thing. It's starting to slow down a little bit before CES kicks us up into high gear again. And yeah, there's nothing else to talk about other than software. It's the software conversation, right?
Well, not me. I'm going to make a video on this 2x2 Bluetooth enabled speed cube. Because it's a 2x2 Rubik's Cube and it's Bluetooth enabled and it's really cool. So that's going to go out tomorrow.
It's a speaker? Is it a speaker? Oh, Bluetooth.
No, that the sensors in the cube line up with the app on your phone so that the orientation of the cube can be used as a way to solve. So the phone can always help you solve. And then they also have all these little games that you can play.
Okay.
So they've got like a music maker. So based on your rotations, it'll do like music notes. So I was like playing Ode to Joy by twisting the cube around. It was pretty great.
I liked it.
And then they also have like speed challenges. So not only timing yourself, but then also like if you do this kind of orientation, how many moves will it take you to get back to like the solved cube and stuff. So I'm the original Go Cube, the 3x3. Again, that's the only reason I know how to solve a Rubik's Cube was because I could visualize it in 3D on a phone screen that would line up with my movements of the actual cube. That's how I was able to kind of wrap my brain around solving a Rubik's Cube. So now the 2x2 is like this adorable little version of the same thing, and I really like it.
I'm glad you like it. Do we want to talk about possibly something special maybe going on next week? Or do we want to surprise everybody?
Just before we get to that, sorry, I don't know if McCorcoran is still in the chat. He way earlier back in the chat asked about USB DACs. And I just wanted to break down because I'm breaking in a whole bunch of new earbuds that I can't talk about just yet. But in doing so, I was really trying to look back and forth. On my Pixel 6, the THX worked. So the THX Onyx, the Eco Zerta was surprisingly...
The Bolt works as well, since it's your THX. Yeah, the Bolt works as well, because I've used it for audio in and audio out.
So the Zerta was a little hissy. And I don't know if that was just one of my Zerta cables. That's the Eco, the one with the magnetic detachable cable on it. That it worked. I did get, a good, loud signal out of it, but there was an error on the Pixel 6 that I didn't have when I was using it with any of my other phones, especially my Duo. The Q3, the FIO.
Oh, the FIO.
Cannot get it to work.
It
does not work on my Pixel 6.
The FIO is a little bit finicky.
It's finicky.
It doesn't work with Samsung either. It just does not register at all. So I feel like the FIO for me at least, my best use case for it is always with the PC. I love it with the PC because it gives me the best control for best audio experience wired with the DT770. So I don't really much, because it works with the PC also. It's such a USB kind of a thing. Because with devices, it's very picky. And on mobile devices, I am more so preferring... Oops. Okay, well, now it's not broken. No, I'm just kidding. I dropped the USB portion, the C to A. The Helm Bolt, honestly, hands down... Such a small little accessory. Keep it with you. Plug in almost. It works with any headset. Haven't found a phone that does not recognize it. And I love the fact that, which I didn't realize till I saw your video, by the way, that we can use it as an audio input, not just an audio out. Like for microphone in, especially for my Pixel,
it's real nice.
I love the fact. And, so for sure. And of course, the Pixel camera is so easy to use. Either be it Bluetooth audio or wired audio, it lets you use any input.
And
regardless.
So then the other one also, I did try it out with the periodic audio. So that it's like a $40 DAC cable, maybe a $50 DAC cable. And that worked really well too.
Yeah, because I think the Helm and the THX are about 100. Or a little over 100 for the THX.
So the Helm is a little over 100. The THX is, I still think is at 200. The Zerta is like 70.
Something 75,
the Zerta
60, 70.
Is cheaper.
Yeah, the IQ.
And then just below that would be the periodic audio.
That's good. Yeah. No. There's a lot of options. I mean, with your Pixel, there's really very few that have hiccups. Like I said, the Q3 is one of them, but I think that's just part of what the Q3. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Maybe it needs a firmware update or something like that. But I think
It does
when it
in
works,
general?
it works perfect.
Yeah.
No. When it works perfectly. But there are some devices that just like not even like high
70% of the time, it works every time. But yeah, so let's wrap this up because I think
sorry.
next week we've got to change things up just a little bit because we're getting right into the
holiday.
holidays.
Yeah.
And obviously next Thursday we're into the eve of Christmas Eve. So I think we're gonna do a morning show next Thursday.
We're gonna try to shoot
just
for
so
a
that
morning show.
both of our families won't be freaking out about us doing work stream stuff. But we are still gonna do a show next week.
Yeah, for sure.
And we are still gonna hang out. But I think we're also gonna try and do this in person because I still have this awesome folding phone that I think you need to test drive.
Absolutely,
And you
man.
still have an awesome folding phone that I need to test drive.
That you need to test drive, absolutely. Which also comes with a pen this year, so congratulations. We got pens to be able to compare at this point.
And just like our tradition is, like if something's stylus enabled, because we did Note.
Yeah.
With the last time we did a trade like this. So.
Absolutely, yeah. Which actually, if you think about it, it's the normal cover that I normally show on the show whenever we don't have a custom thumbnail. It's us holding the Note with the Duo. So
Exactly.
I think it's due for us to kind of update that picture. I think that's
to refresh that. We need to recreate it though. You need to,
Yeah, we'll have to recreate it. And I think so next Thursday, stay tuned, but it's going to be a daytime show. So it'll be sometime in the morning on Thursday. Because my Saturday morning, the Android Bay show, which typically airs on Saturdays, because of Christmas Day, obviously I'm not having it there. I'm going to have it on Friday morning. So the Friday morning would be my show, and then Thursday morning will be Juan and I with the best of our week. So yeah, it's a little bit weird. It's the end of the year, as you can imagine, and as Juan was saying, we do not want to infringe into that, because my wife was asking me, she's like, are you seriously having a podcast on Christmas Day? And I said, I am not going to get into I will not get into, it just happens to be there, right? Last year was on Friday, so I didn't have any problems. This year it's on Sábado. Anyways, so long story long, look out for it. I'll make sure to post the note about that hopefully Wednesday, so people can know. And then, because also on Friday, I'm going to be announcing the winner of the Android Bay giveaway with the Neo 2, the Realme GT Neo 2, which surprisingly, actually, the channel is doing pretty good. We got up to 200 subs. I was finally able to catch my own. So I have my custom URL, which is literally all I cared for.
Perfect.
Is the ability of having the Android Bay, because I didn't want somebody else to take it. It's actually nice. It's nice. So we'll see how that kind of goes, and then we'll see how the challenge goes, and if I ever return. Just kidding. I do want to definitely check out the Duo. The Duo, the first Duo was definitely a lot of fun, and I feel like the Duo 2 would be also a lot of fun to check out, especially since you've gotten a few updates on it.
Yeah, it's this last update helped a lot. So you're coming into this in better condition than I think when we did
last
the
year.
Duo
Same
one
thing.
swap.
Last time we did the exact same thing. I got it from you, and we got a major update. It was like, and that fixed a whole bunch of things. Sneaky Pay version 2.0 this year. I don't know. We'll have to work. I'll work it with Juan. We'll do an update to the sneaky me going in and try to steal something off of his car. We'll have to work it, definitely. We'll have to update that. DT caught us on that one. Congratulations.
We'll have to write another skit. We'll have to see if this works.
That's a lot of pressure, man. That's a lot of pressure for one.
The whole plan that we had originally, trying to make this like some kind of Mission Impossible thing, like we started out strong and then did not finish it off, and so I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver.
Actually, that podcast, the one time we did it, dude, we recorded it on an Xperia.
Yeah,
we remember we were at Balboa. It was still during the whole pandemic. We obviously were still in the middle of it, and we were actually social distancing. Sitting in and all that good stuff. We were using wireless mics and all of that. Oh, speaking of Xperias, by the way, before we get too far, I'm really happy to see that a lot of people are getting their hands on the Xperia Pro High,
Yeah.
and they're seriously getting like excited about it. I think, oh man, what's his name? I forgot. So I know we know Mr. Fisher, Michael Fisher got his hands on it. Fandroid got his hands on it, and I want to say also, what is it called? GSM Arena as well. I think
Yeah.
so. There's more companies coming in, so hopefully we'll get a chance to play with because we never got a chance to play with the full set. That was my thing. I was excited to see it in the wild, but we played with not only a prototype but also somewhat of a hindered version because we didn't have full access. So hopefully we'll get a chance to circle back and play around with some of those. So yeah, with that being said, I'm actually looking forward to CES. We'll see how that goes. Juan and I are going to work it a little bit different. Yeah, it's very much, yeah, for sure. Definitely, I would say a very much interesting year and see how things kind of go. And I want to see what the new tech and how the presence is going to be different this year, since not all the vendors and everybody's going to be in there. It's going to be a little bit, maybe I'm hoping not as congested, but it's Vegas, so I don't know. We'll have to see. But what I was going to say, so tomorrow the Cube video is going to come out. I'm debating putting out a short, just a quick 60-second short, doing a comparison between these two guys, talking a little bit more. Since I have independent videos.
I was supposed to get some of those buds because I finally got the Buds Pro, so I think I'm on like a delayed track. So hopefully I'll be able to play with the Z2.
The Buds. So the Z2s are absolutely a fun pair for gaming and for gaming, low latency. I mean, all the benefits that we get for the audio performance minus the better codec in there. But I still feel like the Buds Pro are better for audio and content consumption.
Okay.
The audio profile on the Z2s is highly more leaning too much into the bass. I feel like that sometimes it even muddies some of the experiences of the mids and highs. Like if you're playing music.
I will be curious to test your assessment of these buds.
And I would love to sit there and discuss that with you on another episode of the Best of Our Week.
The Best of Our Week.
Leading into it right there. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. It was actually, we're right on mark. How did that happen?
Nailed it.
About an hour and a half as usual. So we try not to kill this with the ending. Hope you have a good week. Enjoy. We're getting close to the end of the year, so hope you guys are getting some time off, spending with the family, reconnect with family that you haven't been able to reconnect with, and obviously stay safe. Juan and I obviously will try the best that we can figure out what's going to happen next Thursday. Stay on the lookout for that. I'll see you Saturday for the Android Bay. I can't believe I'm saying the Android Bay, episode 101, since technically it's now the 101.
That's exciting, though. It was the right time to make the jump.
It was. It took a lot of inspiration from you. I didn't go to Twitch mostly because I just have not built up the following there. And I felt like keeping everything in the YouTube space, I think for me at least, kind of works out. And this way there's no more, I don't know. I'm hoping algorithmic things start working. I don't know. I could be doing all of this for nothing, but it hopefully we'll be able to see it. So thank you, Juan. Thanks everybody. Aditya, Barry, Ranesh, Tech Lovin' Mama, of course. Mary Wells, and I think Michael Corrigan, El Jefe, of course, Jeff, everybody else, Michael Peppertech, as well as I think a whole bunch of other people. I'm sure I missed some people in there. Take care. We'll see you next week, and be well.